Next question is from Corn on the Cob 2733. How much protein powder should I supplement with? I weigh 240 pounds, so eating 240 grams of protein is very difficult each day.
Yeah, the short answer is as much protein powder as you need to make up the difference. Now, here's the long answer. I have experimented with this myself. I've done this with clients. For whatever reason, and I know people are going to argue with me and they're going to pull up studies and protein is protein. I have never gotten as good of results eating half of my protein from protein powder, even if all things were equal, than if I got all my protein from food.
I agree with that.
So, and you were really
I agree with that.
Meticulous about this.
I did a whole time one show where I allowed myself to use bars and shakes as much as I wanted, even if it meant I had 2 bars and 2 shakes in a day to make up most of my protein. And then another time where I went all whole foods, and I felt better. I felt I looked better. I thought I leaned out better. All on the whole foods. It felt better, and I know that's just my experience with it. But I specifically tested it because I was curious. I really thought, because I had already speculated on it. Like I'd seen like my body just didn't look the same, and whenever I'd hit my protein intake from all whole foods, I just seemed to build more muscle. It just felt better, and I don't know what it was.
And you were controlling calories and everything.
Yeah.
Would you attribute that more to the digestion differences or the like assimilation?
What I would attribute it to is that I think it's the unknown still for us. There's still value in real food that we act like we know everything. It's so funny sometimes how arrogant we are, like with science, right? Because we've come a long ways and we do know a lot. Yep. We know a lot more today than we did 50 and 100 years ago when it comes to nutrition. But there's still a lot of things, and there's probably something in a whole piece of chicken or steak that I'm getting that is helping me out more than just some dehydrated powder that is, condensed version of that where, and they've tried to fortify it to be as
natural pairings of like essential nutrients in there.
Yes, so, you're 100% right, Adam, because we only know what we know.
Right.
So we can make something as perfect as we think we can make it based off of our current knowledge.
It's like baby formula. Okay?
100%.
There's another example right there. That's something very well studied that there's a massive market there. So you better believe there's a ton of fucking research to try and make baby formula to be just like breast milk.
And yet we still learn.
And yet we still don't.
Every year, a new study comes out showing us something different or new about breast milk that we didn't know before.
Yeah.
Same thing with food. Mm-hmm. We discover a new thing about food, this new compound, this new bioflavonoid, this new whatever that's in this particular food that does this thing that we didn't know about before. So I agree with that.
Now, where science is amazing is I did that show where I had 4 shakes and bars almost every day, making it up from stuff like that. I still look badass. I still got lean. It still calorie wise, like it didn't throw off my tracking. So we've got it close enough that you're going to be okay. But boy, it just seems to be better when I get it from Whole Foods. And I noticed that I could get away with maybe not hitting. So for example, if like let's say 240 is the number, and I got 200 grams of all whole food, but I didn't get the other 40 grams. And then another example, I get 240, but 120 of it came from the protein powder. My body seems to have respond better to even a little bit less protein, but coming from whole foods, than overloading with the protein, but almost all of it coming from powders and bars.
Here's the question.
And I can't explain it.
Yes. Now here's the real question: are you better off missing by a big amount? And not supplementing with protein powder? No. I think
that's why I use example 200 and 240.
Yes.
Because if you
were like 150.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's 100%. So I think the key with protein powder is this: you have it, and you use it when you miss your target. That's it. I used to tell clients, and I still kind of stand by this, is like 1 shake a day is probably okay. Like 1 shake, maybe have it when it's most needed and convenient. Tends to be post-workout, because post-workout people in a hurry and I gotta have the shake real quick or whatever. Personally, shakes for me are always best at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's 8 o'clock at night. I'm gonna go to bed in a couple hours and I don't really feel like eating. So let me see. Let me kind of loosely figure out my protein. Ooh, I'm off by like 80 grams. Let me throw a 60-gram shake or 50-gram shake in there. That's how I like to use it, and that's how I recommend it.
That's how I've used it.
You will not, supplements still will not replace whole natural foods. So the goal is to get as close as you can with whole natural foods. And whatever you miss, then you can use supplemental protein powder.
There's one last thing I want to address on this question because we don't know. We're assuming this person that's trying to hit 240, they're 240 pounds. We're not assuming that. We know that. They tell us that. But where your body fat percentage makes a difference too on how detrimental missing the 240 mark.
Yeah,
is.
if you're trying to hit if you weigh 240 and you're 25% body fat, you don't need to hit 240.
Right, you're okay if you're
go
short.
off of your lean body mass.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if this person is relatively lean, say they're 5% body fat and they're 240.
Well, that's more than relative. That's shredded.
Well, yeah. But there's a big difference, right? I just want to use an extreme analogy. That person, you want to be hitting 240 for sure, because otherwise you're not maximizing the full potential of building muscle. But if you are, higher body fat percentage and your lean body mass is say only around 170, 180, well then you're okay falling closer to 190.
Now the next question, I know this isn't part of the question, but I'm sure people watching this are going to wonder, what's the best protein powder in that case? Which one should I take? It really doesn't matter unless your protein is low. If you're eating low, if there's a low amount of protein in your diet, then the protein type makes a bigger difference. Animal proteins are better than plant proteins generally. But if your protein intake's high, it really doesn't make that big of a difference. We're really literally splitting hairs. So you can get your protein from plant sources, animal sources, whey, eggs. It's all good. As long as it's high, it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Hey, if you enjoyed that clip, you can find the full episode here, or you can find other clips over here. And be sure to subscribe.